live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast brought to you by KINGZ Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, the host, Famous Fees. They call me Facts. I'm here live with my man, Adam. Holla at him.
You already know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Petty Sports, Wednesday night. A little past 8 p.m., but you know we're still here. The greatest sports podcast in the Atlanta area. Episode 59 is alive and well. Fresh off the third episode of PSP. I can't lie, Fees, that what up was like pretty on beat with the song, man. Got me feeling a great type of way tonight.
Hey, I was rocking with it when it came on.
Yeah, man. They be getting us hyped before we go live, man. That's why the show's always flowing with great energy. Of course, hit the QR code on the screen. Every platform that we're on, you see the number as well. 678-871-9602. Fees, what we got on the lineup tonight, brother?
Man, the lineup is action-packed, as always. We're going to talk about these NBA playoffs. We've reached the conference finals. We had a game last night. Them things ain't disappointing. We got another one popping up at 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to drop a little bit of that NFL schedule action. Since we know the order of the games, we got to break some things down to you because it's getting all the way live now that we know when they're playing. We got to talk about your boy CP3. End of the road.
I'll write his obituary during that segment for you, Feast.
I've already destroyed him enough, but we do have a little segment on him. Joel Embiid is on deck. The Saints been making quite a few moves, and we got a nice little segment at the end of the show for you. So y'all make sure y'all keep it locked. Get your popcorn ready. Get you a good stick. Get you a good drink to sip on. Take you some notes and act like you know something. So, we're going to jump straight into the off the top. Drew Brees is done after one season at NBC, and there's multiple rumors now that he's speculating he might come back and play football again.
Lord.
He said he may play golf. He may coach. He'll let us know. Sounded like he just threw a bunch of stuff out there. It's like, I don't want y'all to keep saying what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Right. Let me make my own decisions.
So if he decided to come back to the NFL, would you welcome Drew Brees out of retirement, Saints fan?
Absolutely not. Look, I've got all the love in the world for Drew Brees, but he needs to keep it hung up. I personally think the 3 years that the Saints are really in the mix, the no-call year, getting blown out by the Vikings in the wild card, 3 picks in his last game. Drew did not play well in any of those playoff games, and especially in the last season on the field, I think we can all agree that Drew Brees was an absolute shell of himself from obviously the body, the foot wasn't right apparently, the rotator cuff was bad. He couldn't push the ball down the field. I mean, a 20-yard throw was a celebration, for Drew Brees at that point versus where he could kind of deal with the pressure, maybe be a little bit immobile out of the pocket to make a throw. And he just looked dreadful in his last year in the NFL more than anything. I mean, like I said, played bad in the playoff games. And the fact that the Saints, I feel like, were truly held back because of Brees' playing style. Obviously, you build around your quarterback, you build around your veteran that brought you a ring and really, pulled the franchise out of the dumps. But when you're catering to a small arm and a guy that freaks out at any type of blitz and pressure, I mean, we know Drew Brees is one of the best throwers of the football when the blitz is coming, but that just wasn't him. Towards the end of the career, and, you look at the fact that it was either only Alvin Kamara really getting some targets or Michael Thomas. It felt like towards the end of Brees' career, when he didn't even have Mike, it was all on AK, so it was just more bottling up. And I said it as much as I hate to admit it, the Saints kind of felt like they knocked down in terms of creativity every year. They needed to be the big play team. They needed to be aggressive, and they just weren't that. They struggled to throw the ball. They struggled to get cheap touchdowns. So I say all that to say, absolutely not. Love you, Drew. Keep calling games. Try to work out in the booth, whatever, but respectfully keep him hung.
That is a major hell no. He was terrible in his last couple of seasons with the Saints. I mean, if you just look at what his numbers look like compared to the Drew that we came to know, he had the least yards per game since 2005, second least touchdowns since 2005. 2019,
rookie year?
No, not rookie year, but that was back at San Diego, though.
Okay.
2019 to 2020 were his least in total yards passed for since 2003.
Yep.
And it still wasn't his rookie year.
Damn.
I mean, he was an absolute liability throwing the football, and especially in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He just completely blew the game against Tampa. It was all his fault.
Yeah.
He's beyond washed up. The only reason I could see him actually fathoming trying to walk back into the NFL is because him watching Brady still playing is like, you're putting way too much distance between me and these records that I used to hold.
Yeah.
I need to get a few more touchdowns and a few more yards.
Right.
It's like, bro, you didn't take care of yourself the way he did. You can't play this long. He's still actually balling. Go back in the booth and wait on him to come in the booth because he's probably going to take your job there too.
Tough. What's happening? All 27 of you on Facebook. Prince, Jamila, Cher. Let's see. Just want to make sure I recognize everybody. Appreciate y'all hopping in the chat room. Prince went off the top and said Buffalo Bills Super Bowl bound. You might have to wait for a little later, man. We got a lot of NFL talk coming. But, yeah, Drew, keep them hung. Love you, man. Got the jersey. I'd let you sign it 100 times for sure. Just don't come back on the field. We need to build after you and not so scaredly as well.
I see we got Bills Mafia in the house, huh? Like,
Big time.
Y'all got good, but y'all ain't winning no Super Bowl, though. Relax. Pump your brakes.
We'll see. Prince, I hope you're ready, man. If this is one of your first times into the show, we are real, we are raw, and call the show, 678-871-9602. We always love the newcomers. Into the NBA playoffs, Fees, we go.
Absolutely. The conference finals are here. Last night, we watched the Heat take Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals in a rematch of the Bubble Conference Finals. Yeah, like it seemed like that was a long, long time ago. That was just 2 years ago when we watched Boston and Miami slug it out, and Miami took them out to go to the finals, and when they ultimately lost. But this is a rematch. I mean, both teams, they've been here. They're here to stay. We're getting playoff Jimmy, as everybody's been dubbing him. I mean, both teams are clicking defensively because we saw a lot of defense in the first half. Boston played masterfully, and Jimmy answered the call. But what are the keys to victory for the whole series for the Heat?
For the Heat, man, so they definitely, when I looked at game one, a lot of people were telling me, like, oh, you got to judge what's in front of you, Adam. You can't wipe away the history books and say that injuries don't happen. But I don't really think that we can take everything from game one, considering the defensive player of the year wasn't on the floor in Marcus Smart. And I think the Heat kind of have to hope that he'll miss some more time because, let's not act like, and let's not be naive, the fact that, let's not act like Jimmy Butler would have came out here and had this record-setting performance. He very well still could have dropped 30 or 35, but I don't think he's taken over into the point of the game because we know Marcus Smart would have had a lot of eyes on him. And we talk about what Marcus Smart has done for the Celtics overall, how he's really been bought in on, really developed even with the rookie head coach and everything. And let's not also forget that Marcus Smart held that same Jimmy Butler in those bubble finals fees to 23% from the floor. And it's only 2 years ago. So let's not act like Marcus Smart hasn't shown us recently, especially in crunch time in the playoffs, that he can guard Jimmy Butler. And another thing is I think the Heat really have to guard the three-point line with their life. Obviously, Boston is shooting 37% right now in the postseason. So as good as anyone. And defensively, luckily enough, the Heat have only allowed 33% of shots to fall from the arc throughout the entire postseason. You clearly got to limit Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think they are the most consistent duo in the league right now, and I obviously know there's your Stephen Clays of the world and all these other guys out there, but if we're talking about consistency night in and night out, they're averaging 51 points a game in the postseason, so there's no doubt that these guys are putting up points. And you got to keep finding big guys to step up. I mean, Gabe Vincent last night, I want to say, I think I heard the Heat started an undrafted backcourt last night, and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. Vincent fills in real nicely for Lowry, 17 points. And you got to look at Tyler Hero also really coming into himself, or at least trying to, with the fact that he's trying to become a part of that offense and really be that 15 to 18 point a night guy because he's showing us that. So I think they got to hope that Marcus Smart stays off the floor. You got to limit the duo of Brown and Tatum, and just really keep finding guys to step up big in this series for Miami. They got Spo on their side, so whatever they buy in on, they're going to go far. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, the keys for the Heat are just basically to play consistent defense and minimize those scoring lapses because we've seen this out of them before.
Yep.
You get big scoring games out of Jimmy and almost like clockwork. After a big scoring performance, he comes back and he basically just lays an egg.
Yeah.
He gave you 41 last night. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back on Thursday and he drops like 22 points or maybe like 18. Because he does that. He never follows it up with another big game. And they're almost like mirror images of each other. The Heat and the Celtics play the same game.
Right.
They play tough, scrappy defense,
Yep.
move the ball consistently on offense. They got guys to knock down shots, but they both suffer from these scoring lapses. But I think the Heat actually have worse scoring lapses than the Celtics do, so they really need to actually they got to cut down on that, and they got to limit Smart and Horford's production when they come back. If they let them come back and actually spark the rest of the team,
right,
then that could be a major problem because the first half of that game, the Celtics looked like they were about to roll.
Yeah.
They just ran out of gas.
Right. Up by 8. Jason Tatum, 21 points in the first half. So, yeah, they definitely got to be consistent on Miami's end.
Yes, I mean, on the other side of it, what are the keys to victory for the Boston Celtics?
Well, the Boston Celtics, clearly, after Jimmy Butler coming in and just whooping that ass last night in game 1, they definitely have to limit him. You know, he is the only player, and this is weird that we can actually sit here and talk about MJ and Jimmy Butler in the same sentence. Guys, we might be having a little bit of camera issues, but no worries. You can use your active listening ears as we go over this here. So he's the only player since MJ to actually average 28 points, 5 assists, and 2 steals, and shoot 50% in the playoffs. He passed Bron and Wade for the most 45 in 5 games in Heat playoff history, and he is shooting 51% off a defensive board and 59% from inside the arc. So clearly Jimmy Butler had an amazing game. I mean, everybody was talking about it, and rightfully so. I mean, the third quarter was huge. The back-to-back steals from Jimmy really just ignited the fire for the entire arena around Miami, and there was really just no looking back. And, you know, the Celtics obviously also want to stay consistent and adjust after the half as well. The third quarter I really thought was really where game 1, and I know everybody will kind of tune in here as well. That's where it went wrong. The Celtics scored 14 points to Jimmy Butler's 17. The Celtics shot 13% from the field, while Jimmy Butler shot 80, and they led up a 22-2 run walking into that half. So essentially you're giving up 20 unanswered when you're coming out of the half. You know, and they just never looked back. Jason Tatum scores 8 points in the entire second half, and that's because Boston, with a rookie coach, let's not forget, Ime Udoka is absolutely great, but he is a rookie head coach at this point. You know, so you're going to have to wonder how can he truly adjust in the biggest moment of his career, and then just play confidently in their process. I still think Boston is the best team in the NBA. I'm not going to worry about them. Now, of course, if Smart and Horford stay out, then I'll quickly move off of that because I'm not going to act like two of the biggest players within this team are going to be able to go and take them that far with a rookie head coach and still kind of a young core in general. So limit Jimmy, stay consistent and adjust after the half, and just stay confident in your process. I think Boston's fine. Obviously, if we're talking about 2 or 3 games without Smart and without Horford, then that's a little different because they already got a break, you know, missing Chris Middleton. So let's not kind of have that same narrative come back around on them, at least for the Heat anyways.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the Celtics, I'm going to just keep it very brief. I mean, they need to just keep up the defensive intensity on Jimmy Butler, hold him to 22 or less going down the stretch. The Miami role players, like they rarely pick up the load for Jimmy, so hold him down. They don't really score like that. You need 4 good scoring games out of Jason Tatum.
Right.
He had 1 half, but I mean, I give him credit. He was out of gas. You need Jason Tatum to show up. You need Jaylen Brown to show up.
Right.
You also need Horford back. I mean, him in COVID protocol, I don't know how many games he's going to miss. He's definitely not going to play tomorrow either. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, hopefully they'll get him back for game 3, but they just ran out of gas. So, I mean, moving in, we're just going to skip right on along because we got started just slightly late out here. Who's representing the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals?
The Boston Celtics, absolutely. I think they're going to get their players back. They'll be absolutely fine. I still think they're the best, the deepest team, the most talented roster, the best defensive team in the league. They've got the best duo right now. And any time that a Grant Williams or a Robert Williams or an Al Horford can wake up for you, like I said, that should scare the hell out of the NBA. So I have all of my confidence still in the Celtics. Now, again, if we're talking about a couple games without these key players, then that will quickly change, but I'm still confident in the C's here.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next series starting right here at 9 o'clock. And just over 30 minutes, Golden State is hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, man. I picked the Celtics, too, just in case y'all didn't know where I was going with that.
It's because Cher's watching.
But Golden State is hosting the Dallas Mavericks later on tonight. Who's winning this series and why?
I definitely have to go with the Golden State Warriors, and there's 2 main things here. One, Luka is going to get what he wants, absolutely, but I don't think he truly has that help around him. And we've talked about this time and time again with your Joel Embiids of the world and your Trae Youngs of the world. You want to bring in a solid 2, and they already whiffed on Kristaps Porzingis, so you know that Luka's not going to get a lot of help. Jalen Brunson is starting to turn into that 15 and 20 point a night guy, which is absolutely great, but you want more out of a Finney Smith. You know, you want more out of a Maxi Kleber. So I think the Warriors will win because Luka won't have a ton of help. And then 2, Golden State's Golden State. We're talking about them getting to their, 6th final in 8 years. You know, Steph and Clay obviously been able to come back playing well, and it's just the postseason experience. They've been here before. This is Steve Kerr. This is a built-in Kevon Looney. This is a, resurgent Klay Thompson, so they want it to be. So I think the biggest things are Luka will not have his help, and Golden State's just going to be more experienced for the moment more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely taking the Warriors to win the series. I mean, shooting is the entire key. They shot the worst in that last series against Memphis as we've ever seen them shoot in the playoffs. No way that carries on. Like, there's so many weapons out there. All you're worried about with the Dallas Mavericks is Luka Doncic. On the other side, you got Steph. He doesn't have to show up because you still have Clay. You've got Poole that picks up the slack. You've got Draymond as the grease guy who handles everything in between. You've got Wiggins now showing up, playing great defense and giving you a good 15 points a game. I mean, they have too many weapons out there to where one guy is not actually being charged with running the entire show and showing up every night.
Exactly.
We've seen it in the last series. Everyone doesn't have to show up for them to win. This team is too good. This is the end of the road for the Dallas Mavericks, and you'll all forget about what Luka Doncic did the exact same way everyone forgot about Devin Booker last year.
We are at the Kobe break already, ladies and gentlemen. It is 8:24 here on Petty Sports Wednesday night edition, and you know we do it every week, especially when we're talking about the NBA playoffs. We honor Kobe Bean in 3, 2, 1. Kobe! R.I.P. to the Black Mamba. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Absolute great show. I think we got a few of us, few y'all with us here on YouTube. Pretty strong on the Facebook as well. 16 strong. Almost at 50K on the Facebook page, y'all. Close to 600 on YouTube. Give us a follow. Give us a sub. And let's give Mike Bell our undivided attention for the first break of the show.
Appreciate that, Adam. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in tonight like you do every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Daylight Time. You are tuned in to Petty Sports with Famous Facts Feeds and Adam Lewis, your favorite sportscasters, you know what I'm saying? Grassroots style, bringing it 100. You know what I mean? So share the show. Call your friend, neighbors, co-workers. Text your friend, neighbors, co-workers, and let them know, hey, these guys are at the table doing it once again. And all of this is brought to you by, of course, the one and only Pulse 880 Radio, the heartbeat of the South. You know what I'm saying? So go check them out. That's our 24/7 internet radio station. You can tune in at any time. I'm pretty sure it's some music playing that you can get with. You know what I'm saying? So check them out. Pulse 880 Radio. Just Google it, press the play button, and you in just like that. So that's one way to support black business. You know what I'm saying? So go to your favorite podcast platform of preference and type in Petty Sports with a Z. And you can listen to the shows that have previously aired. And this show should be up in a couple of days as well. So stay tuned for more. We have a whole hour and 35 minutes left,
baby.
Something like that. So stay tuned. We just getting started. You know what I mean? Go to KingsBroadcast.com. Spend some money. Go over. We got some nice gifts for some of your favorite sports fans. You know what I mean? Cups, hoodies, T-shirts, tumblers, mugs. All that good stuff right there, you know what I'm saying? And keep subscribing to the YouTube page, everybody. Go over there, hit the notification bell, thumbs up, all that right there. So whenever the show goes hot, you will be notified. And thanks a lot for still driving the numbers over on the Facebook side of things. So go to all the different social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. Just type in Petty Sports with a Z, and yo, you know what I'm saying? You can tune in with whatever we got going on, and hit that QR code right there on the bottom of your screen. You know what I'm saying? You can link into a whole lot that's going on with Kings Broadcasting. So thank you so much. And we appreciate it, man. ATL, hope back to the regular scheduled program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to change gears back to this gridiron action because I know y'all saw the schedule release last Thursday. So that's why everybody has been speculating about what your teams are going to do, where they're going to fall. Now you know when the games happen, where they play, what times. Man, the wheels have been turning. So we're going to drop you with a couple of different scenarios based off of this new 2022 football schedule. So now let me know what teams you got, Adam, that you've seen since the schedule has been released that have a gravy first half schedule that will start off on fire and be overhyped in the first half of the season just to have a terrible fall from grace.
Yeah, so one team I'm taking a look at here is the Dallas Cowboys. Clearly them having the weakest schedule in the NFL right now. And I kind of feel like this is a setup for Dallas, considering how great they were. And, oh, my God, Cowboys are a top 5 team. And Fees and I knew better the entire time. Yes, they might have been the best offense in the league, and they were absolutely going crazy. But we never truly believed in Dallas being able to take that leap and get the monkey off of their back. And you look at the fact that they're now set up with the weakest schedule in the NFL. Bucks and Bengals out of the gate, so I do think they go 0-2, but then you've got the Giants, you've got the Commanders, the Rams and the Eagles, so I think they could win 3 or 4 there, or at least maybe split with the 2-2. But after that, you've got the Lions, you've got the Bears, you got a Packers team that lost a lot, you've got a Vikings team that could go either way. We know how the Vikings are. Giants, it's going to round out to where they're starting to kind of pick back up on those wins. But again, let's not forget that Dallas lost Amari Cooper, Lyle Collins, Randy Gregory, and another key player. But hell, I think those 3 just enough to kind of, reduce a team a letter grade. So I definitely think the Cowboys are going to be one of those teams that kind of fakes you out. And then another one can maybe even be the Philadelphia Eagles. You see the fact that they have one of the lower schedules. They traded for an A.J. Brown. They got into Kobe Dean. They got a Devontae Wyatt coming in, or a Jordan Davis, excuse me. So they got a lot of great players coming in. And even some people are maybe reaching, maybe saying that, one of the top 10, 15 teams in the league. And that could all be right. But when you're talking about how their schedule comes out of the gate, again, you've got, the Lions, the Vikings, the Commanders, the Jaguars, the Cardinals. They could easily rattle off 5-0 right there. And I know probably you're all like, oh my God, the Cardinals as well. Yeah. No D-Hop. What's Kyler going to be with Hollywood? There's a lot of new things going on in the NFL, and it's going to take some kind of recalibrating in a way. So I would say, ironically, 2 NFC least teams, got Philly winning the division, Cowboys and Eagles are going to be the gravy schedule, but they're probably not going to be all that they're cracked up to be.
Okay, that's a very interesting perspective. My teams are both on the other side of the fence.
Here we go.
First, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals. The first part of their first 10 games of the season, they're liable to be anywhere from 7-3 to 10-0, depending on how well they come out the blocks.
Yeah.
They start the season with Pittsburgh and at Dallas. They should win both of those. Then they got the Jets, the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Saints, the Falcons, at Cleveland, which that probably will still be a Deshaun Watson-less Cleveland football team, because most people are assuming he's going to miss 8 games.
Yeah, especially with the new case that's just unfolding, too. More questions coming his way.
So, the Cincinnati-Cleveland, the first matchup between the 2 of those teams should be the last game that Deshaun misses.
Yeah.
And then you got Carolina and at Pitt again. You're not picking any of those teams to beat Cincinnati after what you saw out of them last year and the improvements that they've made to their offensive line.
Yeah.
But then you look at the back 7 of the schedule. At Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland again, at Tampa, at New England, Buffalo, Baltimore. That's a nasty last 7 games of the season.
Yep.
They're too good a football team to lose 7 straight games. We wouldn't call them to lose all of those games, but it's highly likely that as good as they start, they could easily lose 5 of those last 7 games, which they'll still probably make the playoffs, but that's going to be a serious fall from grace from the team that represented the AFC in the Super Bowl to turn around, start the season really good, and end up looking like the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep, literally the team I was thinking of as you were playing that out.
Yeah, pretty much. My other team is actually my team, the New England Patriots. The first half of that schedule is very advantageous to what this team can do. They start the season off at Miami. That's an L every single season, so we're not even going to discuss that. Then they go to Pittsburgh. They own the Steelers. Baltimore, really haven't lost to the Ravens in quite some time. At Green Bay, that's nothing but the Aaron Rodgers show now. That is not Green Bay anymore. You play Detroit, Cleveland without Deshaun, Chicago, the Jets, the Colts, the Jets again, and then Minnesota on Thanksgiving night on primetime. The only 2 L's I really see here would be Miami and the Colts. So they could very well easily start this season off 9-2 and then turn around in that back 6 gauntlet and play Buffalo, Arizona, Vegas, Cincinnati, Miami, and Buffalo again.
Sheesh.
They could easily end up 1-5 in the last 6 games of the season, and as good as the season started, end up with the same 10-7 record as last year. It would be a shame to get the same record, but get it that way.
Yeah.
Just because of the way the games unfold. But the Patriots and the Bengals are the 2 teams that I see that their schedules start off really smooth for them to get a lot of momentum and then get tripped up at the end of the road. So now on the flip side of the easy road schedules, what teams have a really tough schedule and will actually be much better than what their record says when they make their way into the postseason?
Absolutely, man. And I think one of the obvious ones here, kind of like the Cowboys in the last round, was the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, they have a record-setting schedule, coming out of the gates. I want to say the first 8 teams that they face all were above 500 or won the playoffs, walking into that year. I mean, you've got Cardinals, Chargers, Colts, Bucks, Raiders, Bills, Niners, Titans. And then it gets a little easier with the Jags, Chargers again, but then the Rams, the Bengals, the Broncos. So the Chiefs really have a juggernaut for the first 2.5 months on their schedule. And all the speculation is going to be, is this what it's going to be without Tyreek? And is the league going to play Mahomes differently? Well, of course it's going to be different without Tyreek, and of course the league is going to adjust to Patrick Mahomes. But I think let's not outthink the room here. It's still going to be Andy Reid. It's still going to be Pat Mahomes. It's still going to be a defense that is respectable in the NFL. And they had one of my favorite drafts, bringing in Trent McDuffie, bringing in George Karlaftis. You got Sky Moore as well. So they did lose value in Tyreek, obviously, but I don't think it's something to super harbor on. I mean, again, one of the best teams in the NFL. Multiple Super Bowls within the last few years. Maybe even should have went last year. Who knows? 4 straight AFC title games. We've seen it all.
Make sure you say went to multiple Super Bowls. You made it sound like they won multiple Super Bowls.
Went. No.
They only got one.
Right. I was like, I know better, bro. Went to multiple Super Bowls, of course. But, it is going to be one of those where we're kind of incorrectly talking about Kansas City. And, again, you'll have your guys out there that are like, well, what is KC if they're not playing great teams and, backs up against the wall with minimal talent? You're right. And I warned everybody in Kansas City and everybody in the NFL, Tyreek Hill will be the first to go over Travis Kelce. And it was a no-brainer for them. They sent him out, 5 picks, boom, that's awesome. But now let's see how they adjust. I think considering what the Chiefs have been on, it was kind of hard for me to look anywhere else. Definitely got to keep an eyeball on Kansas City as having that tough schedule, but they'll clearly be better than what they show on numbers.
Okay. See, the team that I think this record will not actually reflect how good they are is the Buffalo Bills. Their schedule is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's not like they made a regression. We all know the Bills are good.
Right.
But look, they start the season off at the Rams for the opening night.
I can't wait for that.
That's a hell of a game to start the season.
Yeah, bro.
Then after that, you get Tennessee. Then you go to Miami. Then you go to Baltimore. Then you play Pitt.
Yep.
Then you go to Kansas City. Then you get Green Bay.
Yep.
That's your first 7 games.
God.
There are no bad teams on their schedule.
Right.
I mean, probably the worst team on the schedule to start the first 7 games is Green Bay.
Over Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers has nothing to work with.
Yeah.
At least Pittsburgh's got a running game and something to work with.
Here come the next 10 comments from Jamilo on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there'll be no stairway to 7. But me saying that you're better than Green Bay is not a compliment this year.
Correct.
I don't think Green Bay is that good.
Yeah.
But they're not horrible either.
Yep.
But that's the worst of the 7 teams you got. I mean, that's a hell of a start to a schedule.
Yep.
So, I mean, then they get the Jets in Minnesota, so you get a little bit of breathing room. But then you get Cleveland in Week 11, which will be – Watson will definitely be back by then.
Right.
He'll have a few games under his belt, and you get the Cleveland team that everyone is expecting on paper. Then you go to Detroit, so that's a break. You go to New England, which they handled us last year twice out of the 3 times they played us. The Jets, Miami, Chicago. Then they got a Week 17 barn burner at Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Second to last game of the season. They play at Cincinnati.
Let's go.
Then they end the season again with New England. So they'll bring their record back to respectable.
Yep.
But it could start off to the point where New England is way ahead in the division in the first half of the season, and then Buffalo slowly walks it down to where it's like a one-game type of situation. They overtake them, and their record is not as nice as how good we think this team actually is.
Yeah.
So I think the Bills are my candidate.
What week do they have Kansas City again? I know you've got it pulled up.
Week 6.
Week 6.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's the biggest revenge game that everyone's talking about. Change the overtime rules because of that one.
No, but there's a lot of revenge games this season.
Oh, plenty of them.
The schedule makers are petty.
Yeah. They've been listening to the show, bro.
I mean, the season starts off with Russell Wilson going back to Seattle on Monday night.
Right. Throw 5 touchdowns on Jamal Adams.
Like the schedule makers, they've got petty down.
Yeah.
They listen to us.
All right. Biggest quarterback trade maybe of the offseason? We'll take you back home week 1. That's fine.
Yeah. On the road.
Yep.
So now that we know all of the matchups, it was really, really hard to come up with just 5.
Yeah.
But what are your top 5 matchups for the 2022 season? Start with your number 5 matchup.
My number 5 matchup is probably going to be Cowboys-Packers Week 10. This is going to be Mike McCarthy's first time going back to Green Bay since he left in 2018. And, a lot of people were like, oh, well, is Green Bay going to be okay after Mike McCarthy? He won the Super Bowl, this, that, and the third. But winning 13 games is essentially the standard now in Green Bay, and I understand that they haven't been past an NFC title game, but they've hosted 2 NFC title games, and you obviously have to give credit to Matt LaFleur. You have to give credit to that team of how they were really able to keep up the kind of Green Bay mentality and just kind of the vibe that they always had around the league. Like, look, if Green Bay's coming your way, they're probably gonna, they're probably gonna beat you. Maybe not into the ground, but it's going to be an L for you for sure. So the fact that Mike McCarthy will be going back home, seeing a Packers team that is head, shoulders, knees, and toes better than when he was there. I understand Devontae is out now, but if we're talking about coaching situations, draft capability, and just how that team has turned around since Mike McCarthy left, I think Cowboys-Packers Week 10 is going to be a good one to see, because not only with the coaches returning, these are 2 teams that lost a lot of weapons in the offseason. I mean, we know what the Cowboys lost, and we know what the Packers lost as well. So I think this Week 10 showdown will definitely have some eyes on it for sure.
I mean, I think there'll be eyes on it just because of the names on the teams, but for the same reason of all the players that both teams lost, I think this matchup is way overhyped just because of Holmgren and damn, called him Holmgren. He was before McCarthy.
NBA draft lottery over there, man.
No, I was talking about the coach before McCarthy.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, but like McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, like that's the whole thing with the matchup.
Right.
Like the Green Bay Packers aren't that good, and neither are the Cowboys. So I'm not looking forward to that matchup. That's a TV hype matchup. My number 5 is Week 9. The Rams go to Tampa Bay for a NFC Championship game rematch. I think that one is going to be heated because that was a very close football game last year where Brady brought them all the way back from down. I think they were down 21 in that game.
They were down like 20,
either 20 or 21.
3. Yeah, something like that.
Brought them all the way back. Stafford with the super late game heroics and the long pass to go ahead and end the game. I mean, that was a crazy finish to a game where you always feel like when Brady starts to walk somebody down, that's pretty much it. Stafford ended that run and went on to win his first Super Bowl. So this rematch is going to be major.
Absolutely huge. Totally agree with you.
Who you got for your 4 spot?
Number 4 on my list, probably going to go Bucks Chiefs. I still think it'll be a great matchup Week 4 there, rematch of the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago. You're going to have obviously Tom Brady never really left, so he's still with Tampa. But more than anything, you're looking at, a Chiefs team that absolutely torched them in the first half when they played in the regular season game, not talking about the Super Bowl. And a big part of that was Tyreek Hill. A big part of that was the fact that you did have a rookie Antoine Winfield Jr. out there, and you did have a Jamel Dean and a Carlton Davis that was really getting cooked by Tyreek Hill. And you look at the fact that, again, a lot of talk will be around the Chiefs this year is what is Mahomes going to be without Tyreek? Can they adjust? They don't have the big play, the walking one play touchdown anymore. And with them again playing the Bucks, it's just going to be great. We saw how it was a blowout in the Super Bowl, but it was a hell of a game when they played in the regular season. So now you kind of got a little 1-1 action here. Let's see what brings it back around after the big superstar heading out for Kansas City. So I think the number 4 overall game of the year, Bucks Chiefs Week 4 Super Bowl rematch.
I had that one in my list, and I took it off. I bumped it off for the one that I put at number 2, so I'll get to that.
Okay.
But my number 4, Week 14, Kansas City at Denver. That'll be our first matchup between Pat Mahomes and Russell Wilson in the AFC West, which that could be a showdown for a top quarterback in that division.
Right.
No, all 4 teams have good quarterbacks, but these are the 2 most decorated in the division by far.
Right.
So now you'll actually get a chance to see if there's a changing of the guard here in the AFC West, because Kansas City has won this division, at least the last 5 seasons?
Yeah.
It's really been actually pretty ridiculous the way they've dominated that division. I think this could be the opportunity for the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson to go ahead and actually take that step forward and take over this division. So I think that's going to be a major matchup.
Absolutely, it will be. A lot of ground to cover with how the division is going to play out there, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, by Week 14, that'll be huge.
Yep. 100%.
Who you got for number 3?
Number 3 on my list here. I think I'm going to lean Chiefs-Bills Week 6. You're going to have the AFC title game, or No, the AFC divisional. Yeah, I always think it's the title game. And hell, it had the implications of a title game.
Neither one of them made the Super Bowl.
Right. The AFC divisional matchup here that the overtime rule was then modified for. Chiefs Bills week 6. And everybody's obviously going to be looking for Buffalo to win this game. And you've got the whole 13 seconds and this, that, and the third happened, and Mahomes was able to punch it in. Absolutely he was. And there's no doubt about that. But now you have to understand you're coming into the next season. Buffalo is definitely going to be, touted as the better team than Kansas City just based on what KC lost, kind of the trajectory of Josh Allen. I'm not going to pick a side on that just yet because I really still trust Mahomes and Reed. And McDermott and Allen are great. There's no question about that. But I think now walking in, Buffalo has a tiny bit more pressure on them. You bring in Jamison Crowder. You have an okay draft, no doubt. And you got Josh Allen come back for another year. Everyone talks about 5,000 yards, MVP. That's great. But let's see what actually happens in Chiefs Bills week 6. I think that's going to be a slugfest and a lot of hard feelings in that one.
All right, I'm going to go week 17, Buffalo at Cincinnati, the one that I just spoke on when we were doing the other segments.
Yep.
I think that's going to be a major implication game. That's deep enough into the season. I mean, there's only one game left after that. That could possibly be the matchup for the AFC Championship game right down the road from that Week 17 matchup.
Yep.
That could have been the matchup if Buffalo had beat Kansas City in that crazy divisional round game they had to go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I think Buffalo's going to have a lot to prove. Cincinnati still has a chip on their shoulder because they made it and they didn't win it. So I think that game's going to be major. Circle that one on your calendar, Week 17.
Huge. Man, this season is so loaded. Schedule release last year I just felt like was so whack. And looking this year, it's like, dude, we probably get to talk about 20 games right here. But yeah, I'll move on to game number 2 for me. Rams Broncos Christmas Day. I think this is going to be a huge matchup. You've got Matthew Stafford, reigning Super Bowl champ, coming in against another Super Bowl champion and Russell Wilson as well. But now with the new Broncos team, a much better defense, a decent upgraded O-line. And we talked about when Russ went over to the Broncos and everything. But I think the fact that the NFL decided to really put 2 of the last 3 quarterbacks that took the leap to go to a new team, and 2 of them have already won a Super Bowl, obviously Brady and Stafford. And Russ is going to get a lot of that talk as well. But the NFL knows what they're doing here. Christmas Day, both of these guys just moved to new teams. It's an immediate upgrade for both of them. So now it's going to be like, if Russell Wilson ever owned Matt Stafford in the past with the Lions, well, now it kind of feels more even. Obviously, Rams are the better team here, and I'll probably take them to win. But I wouldn't be surprised, rather, if the Broncos upset here. So Rams, Broncos, Christmas Day, definitely going to be one I'm going to be watching. I will open presents and then be glued to the TV.
By Christmas, that might not be an upset.
Yeah,
Depends
we'll
on
see.
how the season plays out.
Exactly. That'll be, again, major implications because both of those teams should be in the running for the playoffs, but we'll see with how the schedule is.
Oh, yeah. So now my number 2 matchup is the most interesting to me if the schedule plays out the way that we think it will. Mm-hmm. Week 10, Cleveland at Miami after Cleveland's Week 9 bye. If Watson gets an 8-game suspension, this will be his first game.
Yep.
And it'll be at Miami against this explosive Miami offense with all of that speed. And it'll be the first time that we actually get to see the full Cleveland offense. So I think that game will be major as far as we want to know what Cleveland actually is with Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
So if he gets the 8 games, circle Week 10 because they have a Week 9 bye.
Right.
So what's your number 1 matchup for the season? Which yours is probably the same as mine because you haven't said it yet.
Yeah. My number 1 matchup out of the gate. I think the NFL's giving it to us week 1 right up front. Bills, Rams, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford. This could be the Super Bowl preview. I mean, I had Bills, Bucks last year. Rams are probably the favorites walking in. I haven't looked at the odds yet, but I'd be willing to bet you that the Bills are up there in the AFC odds to win the Super Bowl as well. And rightfully so. Both quarterbacks are kind of playing to an elite level at this point, and probably would be Super Bowl MVPs if each team were to win respectively. Obviously, only one can come out victorious. But yeah, the NFL they really spoiled us this year between a great offseason, quarterbacks moving around. What felt like a weak draft actually played out really well, and then boom, kind of just the icing on the cake with the schedule. Hell, if Deshaun Watson was playing week 1, that would truly be the cherry on top. So I got to say, Bills Rams week 1. It's going to be a hell of a game, and I think that'll be a very, very highly watched game for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for all the same reasons that you just mapped out, I have the exact same matchup. Week 1, Thursday night, season opener.
Huge.
Rams unveil the banner in their brand new SoFi, and you get a very angry Bills team on the road.
Yep.
Angry because they didn't make the Super Bowl. Yep. Angry because they made you start the season off playing against the damn Rams. Bills Mafia is not excited about that.
Damn it.
At all.
Well, never mind. The Bills have Vaughn from the Rams. So even kind of a little something there as well. Vaughn over to his third team now as many as years. So we'll see, man. We'll see. It's gonna be great for sure. Thank you, NFL schedule makers.
Oh, yeah. So we've reached the 8:45 break. We're going to throw this thing on over to Mike Beasley. He's going to let you know who pays the bills around this thing. When we come back, we got to talk about CP3, so keep it locked.
C3PO.
Yeah, appreciate that famous facts feeds. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in, like always, every Wednesday night here on Petty Sports. And you are with Famous Facts and Adam Lewis doing their thing at the table, like always, bringing you the latest and greatest in the sports world. Hey, call in 678-871-9602, 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. We'd love to hear from you guys and everybody that's in the chat room chopping it up. You know, I see Rocky in the building tonight. All right, Miss Sharp or Wesley on deck. He early tonight. All right, that's what's up, Wes. Good to see y'all, man. And share the show, share the link with your favorite co-workers, family members, all that good stuff. Text them, let them know, hey, it's on and popping, and these guys are doing what they do every week. And share. Sharing is caring. We love you guys. Go to your favorite podcast platform of choice and download and listen to the show there as well. Just type in Petty Sports. Hey, thank you so much. Back to the regular scheduled program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate that, Beezy. I see Rock Diesel in the house. What's good? Man, that sounds like I promised y'all we're going to talk about CP3. Y'all all saw what happened. They blew that series.
Traffic cone.
He disappeared.
Traffic cone.
Booker disappeared. And yes, we heard Pat Beverly call that man a cone.
I could not believe that. I was like, wow. You got people making content about, did he go too far? Can we go talk about Stephen A. and Kwame? Come on now, guys. Let's get real.
I mean, he's entitled to his opinion. He's a current NBA player. I mean, folks tell us, like, you don't play, you can't say that about them. Well, he does play. Why can't he say it?
Right.
Like, keep the same energy. If he plays, he can say whatever the hell he wants to. Like, he doesn't have to be a Hall of Famer. Yep. He does play tough defense. And he actually he went back and explained his Chris Paul beef to Stephen A. on one of Stephen A.'s thousands of podcasts. I don't know which one it was, but I saw a clip. So he actually explained it. But since we have gotten to the end of this Chris Paul season, at 37 years old, we don't know if he's going to retire or if he's going to keep playing. He definitely doesn't have that much more time left. Not the 3 years left on his contract. He's not playing till 40. He ain't got that much juice left in the tank. So looking at Chris Paul's career as a whole, is he a top 10 player to never win a championship ring?
Just barely, man. Just barely. And I think, obviously, we're going to be talking about a good bit here. So let's kind of put it into perspective. I know you and I we're talking about a good bit of players, and we're not going to comb through the numbers obviously we will comb through the numbers. But as far as this list of guys, you'll know if they have accolades, whatever they were able to do in their career. But obviously nobody won a ring. So, the names that come to mind are AI, Barkley, Malone, Reggie Miller, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Dominique Wilkins, Clyde Drexler, Patrick Ewing, Vince Carter, Steve Nash, John Stockton, Fees. I know you were even saying maybe Melo, maybe PG-13. And Chris Paul's case is clearly not as strong without an MVP. There's no doubt about that. He's blown it multiple times, probably worse than any of the guys that I've listed, within those players right there. And, when you talk about top 10, it's like, of course, you can expand it to a little more and maybe the other players that I was talking about. But the reason I put Chris Paul in there, and it's just ever so slightly in there, is we can't act like Chris Paul is not one of the smartest players to ever play the game. We can't act like Chris Paul is not one of the best mid-range shooters to ever play the game. We can't act like Chris Paul is not one of the best passers to ever play the game of basketball. And again, there's no doubting he's fallen short. He's absolutely wet the bed, not been there for his team, had great talent around him at times, had great coaches around him at times. But again, we're keeping it in the perspective of people to never win a ring. And again, I will go back and say he has shrunk probably worse than anybody on this list. But a couple of guys just out of the gate, call me crazy if you want, that I would take Chris Paul's career over to specifically would be Patrick Ewing and Clyde Drexler. I'll give it to Stockton. I'll give it to Nash. I'll give it to Russ. I might take Chris Paul over Russ as well. So that kind of obviously notches him up over time because I don't think Russ is a super team guy. I don't really want my point guard rebounding the ball majorly or having to take all those shots. And of course, you've got your Stephs of the world and your Lukas of the world, of course. But I can at least put him over some of those few guys that are in the list. And I know you're probably going to rattle off more as well, Fees. But again, when you talk about the leadership, when you talk about the mid-range shooting, when you talk about the facilitating, and when you talk about, again, some people say, oh, is Chris Paul the Ryan Fitzpatrick of the NBA? Okay, that very well could be that. But he, without a question, go look at the record before he shows up and when he comes back, he makes every team better stepping in. They win more games. They go a little bit further. Maybe not all the way because of him, but he is there. So you got to attribute it.
But every
you have
player
to attribute
that you
it.
named is a Hall of Famer. No one's saying he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. The question was, is he a top 10 player without a ring?
Yeah.
All of those attributes are great, but where do you have him in the 10?
I'm not going to lie, Fees. I didn't go that far. If I had to just guess, because obviously the big guys you're going to put up there again, AI, Malone, Barkley, Miller, Harden, Westbrook, you're going to give respect to a lot of guys. At the worst, I think he is 10. He probably floats around for me in that 8 to 10 range. Look, Chris Paul, obviously I'm a lot younger. I'm looking at the younger generation here. Chris Paul is one of the best overall point guards I've witnessed playing. And there's obviously been this speculation, if he wins a ring, where is that going to put him? I still think Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer. He's still an 11-time All-Star. He's still a 10-time All-NBA first-team player. His defense is fading, obviously, a little bit. So I know some people are going to kind of look at that as well. But to answer your question, I do think he is a top 10 NBA player to never win a ring, probably floating around in that 8 to 10 range for me. Now, I will go over here and type his obituary as you take the floor, sir.
Yes, I mean, if you got him at 10, if you have him at 10, then I'm going to place a player all the way at 1 that's going to bump him out of the list that you just egregiously left off the list. Elgin Baylor, way at the top of the list.
Right. Of course, Elgin as well.
And now that kicks him out. I mean, we're talking about individual accomplishments. It's just we're only talking about one guy.
Right.
You're talking about what he accomplished in his career. He led his team to the finals once.
Correct.
He never won an MVP. If I'm not, has he ever even been an MVP finalist? He might be in the same boat as Drew Brees with that.
Right. I think the year that I want to say it was last year, people were kind of talking about the MVP voting, but I don't know where he placed. I don't really look into heavily on that. But yeah,
he's led lesser teams to the playoffs. He's had really good teams and really good teammates. He's played with some of the players on this list.
2 of them.
He's not averaged a triple-double for 4 years. We're not going to scoff at Russ because he can't make a shot anymore. That wasn't what he was. We're excusing Chris Paul for not being able to play defense anymore and his fall off. So you're going to excuse Russ's too. You're going to excuse the decline of James Harden because this dude ain't never averaged 36 points per game, won the MVP, been a runner-up to win a consecutive MVPs. I mean, James Harden was a hooper. His career, he's done more. Like, he faded away in the playoffs just like Chris Paul.
100%.
Only difference is Chris Paul doesn't take the heat for it because for some reason people seem to like him more than they do James Harden.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Allen Iverson took his team to the championship, lost, won an MVP, multiple scoring titles. Charles Barkley, exact same resume. Karl Malone, same resume. Reggie Miller, he took his team to the finals. He doesn't have an MVP, so he's one where you could actually start to argue the fringe there with Reggie. Patrick Ewing took his team to a championship. John Stockton to a championship. He's the all-time assist leader. Like, that's what the point guard does. He's the best passer by numbers that we've ever seen. Steve Nash, 2 MVPs.
Yep.
I mean, then you got even T-Mac. If we start talking about just actual accolades, he doesn't have any more than Chris Paul has.
Right.
So now we're talking about the eye test, and we're talking about his career was short. Still a first ballot Hall of Famer. T-Mac was better than Chris Paul if you just line them up for me.
Right.
I mean, I've already given you about 12 guys. We got Dominique Wilkins. I mean, Clyde Drexler, you could say that you could put him ahead of him. But the only reason Clyde didn't get scoring titles is because Clyde played the same time as Mike the whole time.
Right.
But he
Absolutely
did
robbed.
take his team to a championship.
Right.
And he lost to Mike.
Right.
So like most of these dudes, like from the 90s, they all got to the finals and they lost to Mike. I mean, you look at Barkley, Malone, Miller was in the East, but he lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to him.
Right.
Same for Patrick Ewing. Stockton lost to him in the finals. Dominique in the Eastern Conference. Clyde in the finals. All those dudes lost to the same guy. Chris Paul lost to everybody. Didn't matter which team he was on, he faded away. Blew 5-2-0 leads in the finals, which he is the only player in NBA history to do so. He's also the only player to blow 4-2-0 leads.
Yep.
Even though it's not a singular stat, but he's the only player to be leading a team that blew these leads.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Paul's resume in the playoffs is worse than Doc Rivers.
Damn. And Doc coached him. That's the bad part.
He's a contributor.
You literally had Doc. Oh, the Clippers series. Chris Paul didn't play the first 2 games. Y'all won those damn games, Doc. Just stop talking while you're at the podium. Real quick, got to give a shout out to Cheryl Khalees Theg. That's Cher's mom, I believe.
Yeah.
She said, gentlemen, please listen to this. CP3 is alter ego Cliff Paul come playoff time. Petty comment of the week. I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Unfortunately, I agree. Chris Paul will score in those nonchalant games where I feel like he doesn't need to, the 30, 35 points, 10 assists, 5, 6 rebounds when he starts to get out there. But again, when Chris Paul is really brought into the forefront and it's his team's time, like everybody last year, CP3 is going to get a ring. Devin Booker's going to go get it. And Giannis was like, no, bruh, I'll let you have 2 and then I'm going to take the next 4. And Chris Paul was unfortunately a part of that. Devin Booker was a part of that too, but we are talking about CP3 here. Great debate, man. Yeah, there are a lot of guys that you can put up there, but I think it also comes down to, of course, is what do you look for in that type of player at a time? Because obviously we're talking about a lot of different guys here, between a Karl Malone to a James Harden to a Reggie Miller to a Russell Westbrook. Like those are four very polarizing players, But it's going to be interesting to see how it kind of plays out for Chris Paul, in the all-time and Hall of Fame and stuff like that. So we'll see, man. Still have mad respect for him. I just obviously wish he played better in the big moments. No doubt about it.
He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's not even top 10 players who didn't win a championship. There were at least 10, if not 12 to 13 guys who didn't win one that were better. And if I thought about this a little bit longer, I might add a few more to the list.
You'd probably come up with 20.
I'm pretty sure I could.
You would come up with 20. Absolutely, you would.
You give me some of the older players. It'd be like, was he better than George Gervin? He didn't win no championship, did he?
Hell no, Fees. Come on now.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Right.
You got to win. That's the name of the game.
Gotta
if you don't win, then it doesn't count.
Not winning games.
Hey, I mean, I'll take that point all the way home.
Right.
I gave it to you last week.
You did?
I gave it to you again this week.
Correct.
And I'm going to give it to you every single week.
We petty.
If you don't win, we don't care.
Facts.
And that brings us to the top of the hour.
Beautiful.
It is 9 o'clock. The Petty Fam, y'all going strong in the comments. We love it. The show is going hot. Y'all make sure y'all keep it locked. Mike Bell is going to let y'all know who pays the bills one more time. Then Adam's going to bring us back. Keep it locked.
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for always tuning in at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And to check our guys out, Famous Facts Fees and Adam Lewis at the table doing what they do, talking about the latest and greatest in the sports world. All brought to you by Pulse 880 Radio. Pulse 880 Radio is the pulse of the South, right here in the great city of Atlanta, GA. So just type it in your Google search, Pulse 880 Radio, hit the play button, and then I'm sure we got something for you over there that, might cause you to move your feet, you know what I'm saying? So do that for us and help support black business that way, you know what I mean? So thank you. Everybody that shared the show, we appreciate it. Everybody's in the chat room chopping it up. Thank you. And who is the brave soul, or what brave souls will call in tonight at 678-871-9602, 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. We'd love to hear from you guys and hear your opinion on anything that has been discussed. And, you know what I'm saying? We do understand. the only opinion that really matters is the one from over here on this end. You know what I'm talking about Petty Sports, you know. Hey, go to the YouTube page. Drive those numbers over there, man. Subscribe over there on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so you will be notified anytime the show go hot. You won't miss a beat. Hey, doing great over on the Facebook, you know what I'm saying, Booker Face. Numbers stupid over there right now. So thank you for everybody that's helped to drive those numbers. And continue to share the link, you know, with some of your favorite sports fans. Call your friends, neighbor, co-worker, text your friend, neighbors, co-workers. Let them know, hey, this is a legit show. We talk about legit topics in the sport world. So, hey, thank you. Could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here, making it do what it do with the crew at the table. You know what I'm saying? We love you guys. Without no you, there is no us. All right? So, ATL, back to the regular schedule program.
You already know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Petty Sports Wednesday night, top of the hour, 9:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You already know where to tune in for the best sports podcast in Atlanta, brought to you by Pulse 880 Radio and KINGZ Broadcasting Studios. And check it out. If you like the product that we put on, if you got a product that you want to promote as well, contact one of us on the team. We'd love to work with you. You know, kind of cross-pollinate each other's businesses here. But of course, always scan the QR code on the screen for every platform, every piece of content that we put out. Call in 678-871-9602. Let's go ahead and jump into the top of the second hour fees. In the last couple of weeks, Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry have returned home to the New Orleans Saints, who were ever so desperate for talent walking into this year and obviously playing all of last season as well, between injuries, the salary cap, and what have you. If the New Orleans Saints can keep their star players healthy, along with some of their newer additions, are they back in the NFC mix? Not the NFL mix, just in the NFC.
I mean, initially I was like, no, just because last season didn't think they would be nearly as good as they were. They weren't exactly in the mix, but they were not bad.
Right.
If Jameis Winston is actually healthy, because, I mean, he is still nursing an injury, if he's able to walk back into this season, they have a healthy Kamara. If Michael Thomas decides that for some reason he wants to play football in the NFL again, because, you know, he kind of forgot that was his job.
Yeah. 2 years, no Mike.
I mean, it is possible that they get back in the mix. And when I say in the mix, I mean just like in the hunt for a wild card spot. I mean, the schedule isn't that difficult. You start off the season with Atlanta and Tampa. I mean, you could start off 0-2 with those, even if they are pretty decent. But it gets pretty weak as you move along. You play the Panthers, then you get the Vikings in London, which is way abroad. I mean, that you couldn't get more prime. Well, actually, that's not prime time. I don't know.
Right.
That might be a bad matchup to play against Kirk Cousins, because that game will probably be at 9:30 a.m.
Kirk will probably be
before anyone watches.
Man.
When he knows no one's watching, he's a baller.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But then, I mean, you got Chicago at Miami. That could be – oh, my bad. That's not that. You got you got Seattle, then Cincinnati. I mean, you'll definitely beat Seattle. Not going to beat Cincinnati. Then you go to Arizona, which I think Arizona is a tire fire waiting to happen. There's too much going on over there. The Arizona game is – what week is that? That's week 7. Oh, so that'll be the first game back for D-Hop. So they're going to be trying to force him to football.
Yep.
It'll be very easy to defend. I mean, I don't really see anything out of Arizona. You got Vegas, Baltimore, Pitt, the Rams. Like, the schedule does get very rough as you go along. I mean, Vegas, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Rams, San Francisco, Tampa. You could possibly lose all of those. But I don't think the NFC is that good. So, I mean, if you can make your way to 9 wins, they could still be in the hunt to get a playoff spot in the NFC. There won't be a lot of teams with great records over there. And adversely, the AFC won't have a lot of great records because all the teams in the AFC are good. So they're going to cannibalize each other. So I mean, we're not going to see a whole lot of just super stellar records this season.
Yep.
Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is there aren't a lot of bad teams in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, I think you can maybe count on one hand now officially. Maybe. Yeah, I would confidently say you can probably count on one hand how many bottom of the barrel they're going to roll over for a W teams that are in the NFL today. Yep, like no Dolphins, no Browns, like Jets could be something this year. You know what I mean? Like we really don't know at this point.
Got a late week 14 bye, that's unfortunate. You had to wait that long in the season before you get a break.
Oh my God!
And then when you come off of it, you get division rival Atlanta, at Cleveland, at Philly, and then Carolina.
Oh, Atlanta, Cleveland, and Philly.
I hadn't actually looked at New Orleans' schedule in depth like that. Now that I've gone from week 1 to week 18, no, they're not in the mix. They're not winning 9 games in this schedule. And it's not even to say they won't be a good football team. 9 games of the teams that they play, I don't think they're better than 9 of them.
Heard, man. Heard. Definitely hear you on that. I'm going to say yes, they are back in the NFC mix, but I think it's going to be a little more than like a wild card. I could see this team, like ceiling for me for the New Orleans Saints is 11 to 12 games realistically, seeing how the schedule plays out over the back end. Starts off pretty favorable up front, but I kind of got to look at the teams in the NFC that some people have been talking about and just kind of bring it to the forefront. So I'm not going to worry about Dallas. They lost a lot of talent. I would take Philly over Dallas, but even then, is Philly truly going to have that talent in that experience with a Nick Sirianni? I get it, rookie coaching season, playoffs, buying in on Jalen Hurts, but they still got a lot of playing time to go through over there. I'm not sweating about Green Bay. I would honestly take the Vikings over Green Bay at this point, considering the talent discrepancy. Yes, even with a Kirk Cousins, I still get Dalvin, I still get Jefferson, I still get, Adam Thielen. Not worried about Chicago, not worried about the Lions. Obviously, you have Tampa in the NFC. The Falcons could be 8 to 10 game winners this year. I won't even front on that. I think Atlanta could be somewhere around that mark. Carolina made a mistake, of course, by sticking with Sam Darnold. We'll probably see Matt Corral in there by, who knows, week 3, week 4. And then, in the NFC West, no one truly scares me seeing how last year played out, besides obviously the Super Bowl champions and the LA Rams. Arizona, unfortunately, is tough. They probably going to try to find themselves. And as much as I love Kyler, it's come to the forefront now, making the playoffs. I get it. You lost to the Rams, but 34-11. That's absolutely horrible. 4-6 down the stretch after starting 7-0. We all know where that's going. Yeah. We could kind of maybe be on the vibe of a San Francisco that's got a little more of a push towards the front with a Jarvis Landry, with a Michael Thomas. Mike is apparently working out things with the Saints in order to come back. And Alvin Kamara, you want to hope that his case can obviously get pushed from what happened in Vegas with the Pro Bowl and everything. But, just going over the teams in the NFC, I could see the Saints vying for maybe a 5 to 6 seed, which obviously when you get into the playoffs, anything can happen from there. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's a NFC title game run or a Super Bowl run, but the fact that the Saints were $100 million in debt walking into last season, they were literally, walking into last season, obviously had to clear house with all the players, all the money, make some moves. I feel like Dennis Allen coming in, this is potentially going to be a new breath of life for the Saints. We saw a lot of Sean Payton, and, I do have to say, Sean Payton is a little overhyped because let's not get it wrong. Great in the regular season, absolutely phenomenal. But when it came down to the real crunch time games, like the one year when we played the 49ers in the shootout in the Dome, the NFC title game against the Rams, just stupid-ass boneheaded calls that literally make zero sense, to the point where it's like, okay, boy genius, now you outthought the room. Dennis Allen being with the team, defensive coordinator, but you have to hope that he brings that aggression, that he looks for a bigger play, because they've got an arm in Jameis Winston, and he was 5-2 last year before the Saints obviously got injured and lost a bunch of pieces. So I do believe with bringing in Tyrann Mathieu, with bringing in Jarvis Landry next to Michael Thomas, the Saints always really struggled, and especially with Brees, they never had a number 2. When Emmanuel Sanders was there, he had COVID for a little bit, and then Brees was hurt, and then Michael Thomas would be hurt, so you never got the full true nucleus of Michael Thomas and another solid wide receiver too. And I haven't even thrown Chris Olave out there, which oddly enough, I think he'll be a wide receiver 3. I don't think you can take that 2 spot away from Juice Landry, and obviously Michael Thomas is the one, but who knows how it'll play out. I could see the Saints vying for a 5 to 6 seed though in the NFC, just because, the AFC is very heavy over there. Obviously they have a lot of talent over in the AFC, so that kind of leaves the NFC, I wouldn't say at the bottom of the barrel, but there are more bad teams in the NFC walking into this year, post-free agency, post-draft, than I feel like in the AFC. So look, we make the wild card, we make the divisional, I'm happy. I'm not expecting anything else more than that, and if so, then, I'll be rocking the jersey in here, man.
Looking at it from that aspect, you could maybe see them sneak into the playoffs. I still don't see them as a 5 to 6. If they make the playoffs, it would be as a 7 seed.
You
but
think so?
Looking at the schedule, they're not winning enough games to get in the playoffs.
Yep. You got us winning about 9, you said?
No, I said you would have to win about 9.
Just to make the 7?
I don't see you winning 9 of those games. The schedule is not advantageous for y'all to win that many games.
Yeah.
The 2 Tampa games, y'all have had their number in the past. That's not going to keep up. Y'all are not the same football team. I'm not giving you either one of those. I'm not giving you the Rams. I'm not giving you San Francisco.
I'll take San Fran.
I'm not giving you a Week 16 at Cleveland game. I'm not giving you Week 17 at Philly.
See, to me, those are two toss-ups because what is Philly going to be? Philly, a lot of talent, but what are they going to be in Week 17? How do they truly play out through the season? And everyone says Deshaun's going to play.
Philly made the playoffs last year. New
Correct.
Orleans didn't.
Correct.
Philly got better. You can say New Orleans got better, but Philly was better last year, and they got better this year. So conventional wisdom would say they're still better. The San Francisco 49ers were light years better. The fact that you say you're on the same playing field is laughable. Jimmy G's still there. Deebo Samuel's still there. Until they say that Deebo is out and Trey Lance is starting, I'm not listening to you saying that anyone in the NFC. San Francisco is probably the third best team in the NFC. They'll be the 5 seed because they're in the same division as the Rams, and you can't be higher than that if you don't win your division.
Yeah, I just want to ask a respectable question. So, you claim that the Eagles are better, but Saints and Eagles had the same record, with the Saints having far less talent.
Did the Saints make the playoffs?
One less win than the Niners.
Did the Saints make the playoffs?
Absolutely not. We had no quarterback.
Okay.
Still won 9 games with no quarterback. I think we'll be a 5 or 6 seed.
Didn't make the playoffs.
You're right. Absolutely not. Tell me a team that can make a playoffs without a quarterback outside of the Eagles with Nick Foles.
Pittsburgh did it.
With who?
Rudolph?
Oh, God. Please no.
No, I didn't say can. You said tell me a team that did it.
No.
They did it.
Yeah, and what
do
happened?
we need to call Jamila? They
We
made
might.
the playoffs with no quarterback.
We might. And what happened in that playoff game with no quarterback? Just saying. No quarterback.
The
no
question
playoff
was,
depth.
who can make the playoffs without a quarterback?
Let's not
you didn't go
Mason
deeper.
Rudolph over Trevor Siemian and Ian Book, bro.
You asked the question, and there was an actual answer to the question. Don't try to move the goalpost because you're like, oh, damn, they actually had an answer.
No, not at all. I'll never move the post on
The
you, bro. That's
Steelers
why we
did
do the
it.
show.
You asked the question. The Steelers absolutely did that.
Tough.
They had like 3rd or 4th string quarterbacks, and they still won like 9 games and made the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Saints
see.
just ain't that damn good.
We'll see.
They don't suck, but they're not that good.
I can see us
They're a
starting.
fringe, not in the playoff team, right there outside,
We'll see.
just like they were last year.
I could see us being a 4-1, 3-2 team walking through the first 5 weeks of the
Man,
season.
stop.
That's favorable. I can see us going 5-0. Look at that schedule. Vikings, Panthers, Bucks, Falcons. Come on, bro. And who's that 5th one? I just lost it.
Seattle.
Yeah, definitely a W there. But I know we got to move, man. We'll be here all night. Top 10 NFL teams, post-NFL draft and free agency insanity. Top 10 teams walking into the year, the initial 2022 NFL Petty Sports Power Rankings. Fees, I'll start with you. If you like to roll from 10 to 1, we can do so or we can alternate. But either way, I'll let you start, brother.
We'll alternate them back and forth. I'm going to start at number 10. I'm giving you the Philadelphia Eagles in my power rankings. They have made major moves this offseason, bringing in A.J. Brown to add to that wide receiver core now alongside of Devontae Smith. This will be another year of development for Jalen Hurts. Each year he has gotten better and progressed in the passing game. It is only to be assumed that he will continue to progress because he did the same thing going from Alabama to Oklahoma, now into the NFL. This dude has showed time and time again that he is a student of the game. He actually can throw the football, and he's a very mobile quarterback. He'll kill you with his feet if it's not there. But now he has viable weapons. If he has a healthy Miles Sanders and a Boston Scott behind him with a Dallas Goedert, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think they have Super Bowl aspirations, but they're definitely looking to win the NFC East
They'll be tough
and
to
make
beat.
a playoff push. I absolutely see them hosting a home playoff game this year.
Yeah, that's definitely respectable. I think I could agree with that as well. I almost had the Eagles in there. I had to leave them just outside at number 11 because I got to see how it's going to come together. I got to see if actually the buying in on Jalen is there. If Devontae and AJ can obviously exist. So it's a lot of potential, and I think they could easily be up in this top 10.
I feel like I'm going to throw my hat.
But number 10, I will place ever so lowly the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they still have Aaron Rodgers, and they brought in some supplements, of course, in place of Devontae Adams, but they're not replacing Devontae. Still a solid defense, picking up Lewis Seen, picking up Devontae Wyatt as well. Obviously, you still got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, one of the best 1-2 punches in the league. Aaron Rodgers is still a 2-time MVP, making a ridiculous amount of money. And more than anything, the reason that I had to place them, over what some people might have said with the Cardinals or with the Niners or with the Eagles, is it's just more experience at the end of the day. So we'll see. They are so low, though, because they did lose so much talent. And, they went and got Christian Watson, but we'll see how that plays out with a number 34 pick for Green Bay. Number 9 NFL team walking into this year after the draft.
You may be surprised how low I have this team.
Let's hear it.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh, I've heard of people dropping them outside the top 5, though, and it's not unreasonable. It's not.
I don't think they're top 5. I mean, they're still in the top 10.
Right.
They still have Pat Mahomes and they still have Travis Kelce, but losing Tyreek Hill changes the dynamic.
Yep.
Replacing them with Juju and Sky, that sounds good on paper. We know Juju is a number 2 guy. He needs to have a number 1 receiver on the field with him to take that coverage away so he can then get open against the next best corner. We don't know if Sky Moore is going to come in the league and just blaze it and be that guy. He's a good prospect, but he's still a huge question mark. I mean, him playing with Pat Mahomes, definitely it helps greatly for you to walk into the NFL and you're playing with a quarterback that good. But Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. This dude can go for 200 yards in the first half and completely just destroy and annihilate a defense.
Yep.
He changes the way you defend. The Kansas City Chiefs are not going to be the same team without him. They're not going to fall off, but they are not the top of the league, class of the league without him either. They're just another good team that's in the hunt.
Heard on that. Chiefs, number 9. Chiefs fans, weigh in. Kansas City at number 9 in Fees' original power rankings walking into the season. At number 9, and I want to put them higher as well. You could probably switch 8 and 9 because once I say why I have them at 9, you'll be like, oh, well, you can switch them out with number 8. Denver Broncos, obviously making a major, major move for Russell Wilson. He gets an offensive line upgrade. He definitely gets a defensive upgrade. And, he's not walking into maybe as much offensive talent, but Russell Wilson was running for his life the entire time in Seattle. I mean, it was pretty normal to have Russell Wilson sacked 40 to 50 plus times a year in Seattle. I actually want to say when there was speculation about him getting traded, Russ on average gets sacked like 38 times a year. That is absolutely ridiculous. That's almost 2 or 3 times a game. I get it. You can maybe, suffer a couple of those, but when you're talking about a guy like Russ who, and I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, he still falls off on the back half of seasons. Well, when you're the only person on the team that the offense can really bank on at that point to truly make plays, because Pete Carroll is clearly, just kind of got a cluttered mind, not really looking in today's NFL. But yeah, number 9, I definitely got to go Broncos. Of course, they made a major trade with Russell Wilson coming over. I think he's going to be a big upgrade because we know that this has been a good roster for the last 2 or 3 years. They've had a Jerry Jeudy, they've had a Cortland Sutton, they've had a Justin Simmons, Bryce Callahan before he went over to LA. Patrick Surtain. Like, there are a lot of great guys. Randy Gregory even came in, to kind of supplement some of that defense as well. So I think you talk about Russ, 3rd straight quarterback in a year to go to a brand new team. I'm not calling Super Bowl by any stretch, but I do think we can see some of that same energy going forward and maybe see Russ win the most games he has in a while here. So Broncos, number 9. Number 8, Fees.
Number 8.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers. I know you didn't possibly think I was going to say the Rams way down there.
I was waiting for you to say Vegas Raiders, to be honest with you. I'm shocked you have L.A. in your top 10 because you don't win, it don't matter.
We're just talking about top teams post-draft.
Yeah.
I mean, this is paper rankings.
Yeah, you're right.
We're
Paper
not talking
rankings,
about who
100%.
I'm picking to win anything.
Right.
We're literally talking about paper rankings, so let's keep that in mind.
Paper champs.
With the additions that they already made to a stacked roster with Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, their defense should actually be able to step up to the challenge to all of the wide receivers and quarterbacks that have been flushed into this division. So I didn't think on paper, looking at Herbert with a defense like this, he no longer has any excuse not to win. You've got a defense. You have all the requisite offensive weapons, which you already had them. So there's no excuse for the Chargers not to be deep into this playoff mix. Because on paper, they should be. But I still only have them at 8. And from who you've already heard me give, I still don't have them as the top team in their division.
Chargers. I'm surprised Fees put them on the list. Number 8 for me, and this is a team that I just spoke of, and I'm honestly really shocked because I have not seen any sort of, and I wouldn't even say hype, but just appreciation for what the Raiders have done. Definitely putting them at number 8. You're talking about Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, a defense that can actually get after the passer if they would like. Let's not forget they signed Chandler Jones, who is just as great of a number producer, not player, number producer as a Nick Bosa, as an Aaron Donald, as a prime J.J. Watt. Go look at the number of sacks he's had since he's been drafted in the league. He's top 3, and it's not even close. So I think you look at the fact that...
I know who he is. He played for New England.
Right. I forgot about that. I truly forgot about that. You look at the fact that the Raiders had made a good bit of moves this year. You're reuniting Derek Carr with Devontae Adams, and if we've seen anything of recent memory with reuniting college players with their quarterback, especially a Jamar Chase, especially, not especially, but a Hollywood Brown as well, kind of trying to follow in those footsteps. So they said, screw it. We'll trade for the best receiver. We'll pay him a lot of money, and we'll put him next to Derek Carr and, top 2, top 3 tight end in the league, and Darren Waller. One of those guys is going to be open every play. I think the Raiders, I will make a really bold prediction right now. I think the Las Vegas Raiders could have the number 1 offense in the NFL walking into next year. Not walking into next year, but after the year has played out, the most yards, maybe not the most touchdowns, but the most yards per game. It wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders were averaging, 300 plus, 350 yards a game, because we've seen that they can play in those barn burners. They can play with those Chargers. They can play with those Chiefs. So I got a lot of respect for the Raiders right now. Love what they're doing over there in Vegas with the Legion. And they're overcoming a lot between Henry Ruggs, between John Gruden. The whole team moved, for Christ's sake, just a couple years ago. And they're still trying to make things happen. So I got Raiders at number 8.
Yep, I don't trust Josh McDaniels.
We know, man. Yeah, that's tough.
Without
that's
Bill
tough.
Belichick, he's not that good. You saw him in Denver.
Right.
Even with all those weapons, I think he is going to actually be the thing.
I forgot they hired him as head coach,
It's not going to be Derek Carr. It's going to be Josh McDaniels that holds them back.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I don't think it'll be Carr either. No.
Their roster says they should be in the top 5 on my list, but they're not because of their coach.
Yeah.
But at number 7, I've got the Denver Broncos. You add Russell Wilson to the mix, you basically just inserted playoffs. I mean, they already had a very good roster that was a quarterback short of making a deep playoff push because they were not a bad football team. They just had Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
You bring in Russ now and he gets time to throw. I mean, his weapons may not be as good as what they were in Seattle, but he doesn't have to run for his life, so the weapons actually look better because he has time to throw it. It is now just going to be up to Russ to decide not to hold the ball so long, because that really was one of the issues with Russ and his line. He'll hold on to the ball looking for that deep ball every single play. If he can tone that down a bit and actually run within the flow of this offense, I think the Denver Broncos could very well easily be the best team in the AFC West.
Heard on that, man. Broncos coming in hot on Fees' rankings. At number 7, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens, and mainly because they're coming back extremely healthy. They obviously need more pass catchers. No question about
Check
that.
this dude's temperature. You have COVID.
Yeah, I'm pretty hot over here, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm a little toasty in the white shirt.
Give me 6 feet.
I know, right? Shoo. Hold on now, bro. Y'all got the separation? Y'all good there? But nah, man. No, yeah. Baltimore at number 7. I like the Tyler Linderbaum signing. I like the fact that they brought in Marcus Williams. I like the fact that they're coming back healthy. Of course, I don't like the pass catching room. But little treat for y'all. We did have a Baltimore Ravens receiver on an alternate show that will be coming out soon. Just want to let y'all know there. So they're gonna be looking to obviously make a lot of moves. Well, not make a lot of moves, but I think at the trade deadline, they'll have to look to make a move that could kind of separate them from everybody. Because I'm not saying that they're even going to be an AFC championship team. I think they could go to the divisional. I think they could be one of the last 4 teams, maybe, in the AFC in the playoffs. But, we can't deny the fact that they went 8-9 because they were so injured. They had no secondary. They had no running back room. Lamar Jackson was throwing to essentially nobody but Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews, which, yes, Mark Andrews, fantastic tight end, top 4, top 5 tight end in the league. But we've had our speculation and our inconsistency problems, of course, with Marquise Brown. And I know 100 catches, 1,000 yards, whatever. But Lamar truly needs that big body out there. I know DK said he was going to stay with the Seahawks, but it'd be nice to see him in Baltimore. Ravens at number 7, a lot of health coming back, and I like what they picked up overall.
That is insane.
Yeah, I know you thought they had the worst draft.
Not that good. Jesus. That is absolutely. You changed your pick since we just got off the line, isn't it?
Since we just so what now?
We just got off with Shamar and you changed your pick. That's
I know,
what
right?
it was.
Had to shoot him in there, bro. You know what I'm saying? I had to get the respect. I know that's what it was. Up there. I had him up there, brother.
Right, at number 6, I got the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy is still in the building. So is Deebo Samuel. All things being equal, San Fran will be in that first wild card spot. Because just like I was saying earlier, with them returning their players, San Francisco is still the 3rd best team in the NFC. They are a very tough defensive team. They run the ball very well. Deebo plays every position, sometimes he even plays quarterback. But we all know Jimmy is light years better at the quarterback position than Trey Lance. He's just not ready. This should be another year for Trey to sit. I mean, San Francisco is just going to have to come to terms that they actually blew it when they moved up like that to get Trey Lance because he just might not be that guy.
They blew it when they dropped that pick.
Haven't. I mean, that's why they haven't traded Jimmy. They can't get rid of the insurance policy because the insurance policy is actually what you've got.
Winning games.
He's not insurance. He's your guy, and he's been winning. So long as they still got all of them in place, I got the San Francisco 49ers sitting there in my 6th spot in the power rankings.
That is major. I wanted to put San Fran up there, but I do feel like they were more of a caught lightning in the back half of the season type of team, and we've seen what San Francisco's been with the recent success, but I can't put them obviously over the 10 that I'm about to list here. On to number 6.
Baltimore.
Yeah, I do got Baltimore in there for sure. I got the Chargers at number 6, and clearly, Fees, you know how I feel about them. I don't think I need to really elaborate on this. Completely healthy. First and foremost, Bosa, Allen, Eckler, Justin Herbert coming into another year. And then the 4 huge defensive pickups between Bryce Callahan, top secondary player in the league, played with Denver, obviously Khalil Mack, obviously J.C. Jackson, and then also Kyle Van Noy as well. So 4 major defensive signings. The draft was okay, but you're talking about them coming back healthy. Roster-wise, the Chargers should be able to win 12 to 13 games. Not saying they will, but they should be able to. So I will have the LA Chargers at number 6, and maybe they disappoint, maybe they go. Who knows?
Kyle Van Noy is washed. That's why we let him go.
He'll be solid enough.
We've gotten rid of him twice.
Yeah, I was about to say, he came back, didn't he?
And we got rid of him again.
He said, yeah, bro. Yeah.
He has nothing left.
Yeah. How old is he?
I don't know, but he ain't got no more juice left.
I feel like he's a younger linebacker, like maybe 28, 29.
Yeah, nothing left in the tank. See. All right, but at the number 5 spot, I'm pretty sure y'all were not expecting this team to make my top 10 list. I've got the Indianapolis Colts. They picked up Matt Ryan in the offseason, which is a huge upgrade from Carson Wentz. Jonathan Taylor's coming off a career year where he played with no quarterback because they traded that guy for 2 third-round picks. So, I mean, it's virtually he had zero help. Now you got one of the strongest running games in the league, if not the strongest, because we don't know what this rehab Derrick Henry is. I mean, we see running backs decline very quickly. So it's basically just yet to be seen if Derrick Henry is still going to be Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. They picked up Alec Pierce to play alongside of Michael Pittman Jr., which just
Major.
like the guy out of Cincinnati, he's a big body. He's got speed. He's got good hands. So now you have a very reliable possession receiver. You've got a big guy who can blow the top off of a defense. They've got a contender-level defense. Everything is in place, and Matt Ryan has showed you when you have everything in place for him that he can lead a team all the way to the end of the road. So, I mean, everything is in place for the Indianapolis Colts. Is all there for them for the taking.
I like that. I wanted to put the Colts in so badly, but I just don't feel like they're explosive enough offensively. Great O-line for Matt Ryan. He's going to be super comfortable with Jonathan Taylor behind him, but, rookie and Alec Pierce. And, what is Michael Pittman? No T.Y. Hilton. I don't really come at me about Paris Campbell either. I just think, again,
Michael Pittman is a very good possession receiver.
Oh, yeah, Michael Pittman is a good receiver, but I just think, again, when you're talking about explosiveness, again, I think if you can bring in someone at the trade deadline, try to swindle a receiver over. A lot of people are talking about Julio maybe to the Colts. I don't really know if that would be anything, but it might be another pass catcher, obviously, for Matt Ryan. But I like the Colts respect, man. Hell yeah, way to put him in there. Number 5 for me is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, they did lose a lot of talent throughout this past season. Well, not a lot of talent, but they did lose Tyreek Hill over this past season. But again, with Karlaftis, with McDuffie, with also Sky Moore coming in, they've still got Patrick Mahomes. They've definitely still got Andy Reid. They're going to be one of the top offenses in the league, and I think they'll be one of the top, or at least, better than average defenses in the league as well. They've got the postseason experience. They've got the talent. Travis Kelce is still available. They've got a Mecole Hardman. They've got an MVS. They've got a Juju that they can buy in on. So it's not like they completely lost everything. They just lost their one play walking touchdown in Tyreek Hill. So not really fretting about the Chiefs. The schedule might make people knock them out. Who knows, though? Chiefs at number 5.
Okay, Chiefs at number 5. All right, now we get into the meat and potatoes of this thing.
Yep.
At the number 4 spot, I've got the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
They haven't fallen off.
Right.
And they're just a couple of teams that I think are a little bit better than them. Josh Allen he rebounded because last season started off actually pretty bad to the point where we were starting to badmouth him. They still haven't really addressed the running back position. They've still got Devin Singletary listed as the starter. They brought in James Cook, but they for that to be such a glaring issue with their offense, I would have thought that they made bigger moves in the offseason to get a running back, which I could have moved them up a little bit.
Right.
You still got Stephon Diggs. You brought in Jamison Crowder. They grabbed O.J. Howard. It's like your passing game was already good. You brought in Von Miller. So, that can help, but by the numbers, they had the best defense in the entire NFL last year in almost every category.
Yep.
Which at times it did not look like it at all because they couldn't stop the Chiefs to save their lives, and they let New England beat them with that embarrassing game where they only threw the ball 3 times. So, I think the defensive numbers were more like they were more indicative of who they played last season. The schedule wasn't that difficult.
Yeah.
That always has a lot to do with where you fall in the rankings for defenses.
Right.
But all in all, I still can't just completely knock them. So I'm going to give the Buffalo Bills the 4 spot.
Heard on that. Bills at number 4. For me, I'm going to have the Super Bowl runner-up in the Cincinnati Bengals. They go and get immense offensive line help, for Joe Burrow. Big one is obviously Lyle Collins. You've also got a Ted Karras, a Alex Kappa as well. Jamar Chase, of course, is coming back. You still got a Joe Mixon. And I think more than anything, of course the league is going to, let me not even forget about the fact that they picked up Dax Hill as well. I think a safety that's going to go really well in that secondary. Still going to be next to a Jesse Bates. And some guys that are about C+ to B secondary players, but bringing in another guy to that nucleus could just really, really help. Of course, Trey Hendrickson that came over from New Orleans last season got his big payday. The league, of course, will play the Bengals in a different way, but I think they have found their recipe for success. I think Joe Burrow is extremely comfortable. All of the doubt that was on him is completely slidden off, me included. I didn't think Joe would be this great. I didn't think he would be able to perform in moments this big, but he's cut for it. Zach Taylor saved his job. They are just an all-around really sound team. They were the biggest surprise of the NFL last year, and I don't see much that's changing walking into this spot. Cincinnati Bengals at number 4. Number 3, Fees.
Number 3, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not so much because of what they did in the draft, because they didn't really pull any big names out of the draft, but they got Brady back. So that instantly puts them back in the 2 spot in the NFC, right behind the Rams. They narrowly lost to them and were almost right back in the Super Bowl. So, with bringing Brady back into the fold, there's no reason to believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won't automatically be right back in the same place. Rob Gronkowski is going to come back. He just doesn't feel like doing OTAs. He's not trying to practice yet. He'll come back in August. Closer to time for the season to start, he'll be like, okay, I want to sign the contract. You see there's been no reports of them giving him any type of ultimatums like, are you going to retire or are you going to play?
Right.
They're like, okay, yeah, we know what you're like. Go do what you do.
Right.
He's Brady's guy. They're gonna let him sit on ice until he feels like coming back.
That's right. He'll be in the ice bucket until it's time to call on his name, man. No shot at Gronk there. Still love the guy. Number 3 for me will be the Buffalo Bills. And, of course, all the potential to be the best team in the league on both sides of the ball in terms of points, in terms of yards. They were the best defensive team in the league last year, like Fee said. Did nothing but bring that roster up. You bring in a Jamison Crowder in. I want to say Emmanuel Sanders got out of there, but, even E-Man was really good in his spot, and you still got a lot of that core over in Buffalo. I think they're just continuing to double down on what they've done over the past couple of seasons. Josh Allen's still taking that leap, and now that, they figured out how to run the ball last year. Buffalo was actually top 10 in the league in rushing yards last year, and I know it might not have seemed like it from what you saw on the field, but clearly the numbers don't lie. Bills are still a top team. I don't think they really lost anything. And, of course, they signed Von Miller to come in. That could be a really key piece considering how he played in big spots for, of course, in big spots for the Broncos for a part of his career, also for the, the Rams as well. So, Bills, number 3. You can go ahead and rattle off your top 2 if you'd like, Fees, and I'll hit my 2, and we'll move on before we get out of here.
Yeah, 2 spot, I got the L.A. Rams, defending champs. They reloaded at all positions. They brought in Allen Robinson. They also picked up Bobby Wagner to replace Von Miller.
Yep.
I mean, they're coming back this season with the confidence to know that they can actually do it as opposed to being like, oh, I think that we have everything. Like, now they know they have it. So, they're going to come out with a whole different swag. They're going to be a very tough football team next season. But at the number 1 spot, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals, who addressed the only issue that they actually had last season.
Bengals at number 1.
At the number 1 spot. They addressed the offensive line.
Damn.
They were 1 block on Aaron Rodgers away from winning the Super Bowl, and all the conversations would be completely different.
100%.
And for it being that close and the amount of attention that they actually gave to their offensive line.
Okay, brother.
So they're going to keep Joe Burrow upright. I think in my power rankings, the Cincinnati Bengals have earned the number 1 spot, just a slight nudge ahead of the Rams.
Wow. The best team in the NFL, according to Triple F, is the Cincinnati Bengals. I can't argue with you, man. It's all very valid points. I think, when you talk about deeper depth, defense, experience, that is going to bring them back. But, hey, they're as loaded as any team in the NFL. Number 2, I have the Rams as well, defending champs for all the same reason. They bring in Allen Robinson. Matthew Stafford has got the monkey off his back, and they bring in Bobby Wagner as well. So did they really lose Von Miller? No, not really. And obviously Bobby is a much cheaper payday, I think, 3 years for $30 million. Something like that. So not, extremely expensive. Obviously, he's older in his career, but getting a linebacker for that price in today's market is great. And then, believe it or not, number 1, I still have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When you tell me that Tom Brady's coming back, when you tell me that you got Russell Gage, you still got Godwin, you still got Evans, they bring all their guys back. They had a decently solid draft as well. So I see nothing wrong with the Bucs being the number 1 team, and I wouldn't be shocked if they went and won or at least competed in the Super Bowl this year. We know that was a long segment, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to throw it over to Mike Bell real quick before, actually, I lied. Bell said, shut the hell up and keep talking. So we're going to go on to the final segment. He's over there watching Warriors Mavericks. Pressure or nah? 2022 Conference Finals Edition. We're going to throw you 12 players overall from the Conference Finals in the NBA, and we'll tell you, are they under pressure or nah? We'll start with the Mavericks. Not Luka first, but Jalen Brunson. Fees. Pressure or nah?
No, he's not under pressure because he's not a major player in this game. We know who he is. He's had a couple of big games, but no one's expecting him to come out and have an amazing performance in the playoffs, especially on the stage this big against Golden State. It's all going to be the Luka show. If he shows up, he can actually make a name for himself and solidify it if he is a major player in a Mavericks win. If the Mavericks don't win, he's not taking any of the blame. It'll just be that Luka didn't have enough help, and you won't even actually name Jalen Brunson. It'll just be they couldn't get it because the Warriors were too good.
Yeah, I feel that, man. For all those reasons that you kind of just named there, I do have to put Jalen Brunson in the spotlight of pressure. Not immense pressure, but when you talk about Dallas needing to find that number 2 player, you look at Jalen Brunson from 9 points as a rookie to 12 points last year, now up to 16.3 points per game and shooting just under 40% from the free throw line. A lot of the talk is, does Luka have help? Can he get help? Can he find someone to just elevate and at least give him consistently 18 to 20-plus points a night? And I feel like slowly Jalen Brunson is turning into that. A little bit of Dorian Finney-Smith, a little bit of Kleba, but I think if we talk about, I guess, who's in the front running for the number 2 spot against Luka, it's got to be Jalen Brunson. So I will say pressure, but not a whole lot. Luka, of course, pressure or not?
I think he has some pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have immense pressure because of the fact that he doesn't have a roster around him that says that this team shouldn't even be where they are.
Right.
He drugged them there, and he's just been pumping out legendary performances.
Night after night.
I mean, the only thing I would say he's under pressure to do is continue what he's doing.
Right.
If he keeps doing what he's doing and they lose, it's not going to be a knock on him. If he fades away, then we won't forget that.
Right.
If he has 15 to 20 points and they get blown out, then it's going to be an issue. He's only under pressure to keep putting up the numbers as opposed for him to actually win. He's not expected to win. Granted, I know you've seen a lot of people have gone on and said they're actually picking the Mavericks to win this series. They are prisoners of the moment. That is ridiculous. They're not winning this series. So I don't think Luka has that much pressure on him either.
Yeah, this one's difficult. I'm going to say yes and no. Yes, because I don't think Luka should immediately be given a pass off the rip because, he's played so great and he's obviously been this baller with the Mavericks and he's taken them this far. He's completed the comeback over a couple of great teams, this, that, and the third. So I want to see him take that step further. I want to see him continue the greatness, like you said, Fees. Get your team to the finals without that true number 2 player. Show us that. Not that you haven't shown us enough, but just talking about in terms of pressure, I don't want to give him a pass for being so great so far. But of course, the reason you could say no is because he's Luka and he's literally carrying that team. Jason Kidd, pressure or no?
Jason Kidd definitely has pressure. I mean, he's taken his team this far.
Not a player, of course, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, he's got pressure just because he actually won a championship.
Correct.
With this team.
Yep.
I mean, he's gotten the team up there.
Damn, I didn't just realize it was on Mavericks.
He's playing against a guy in Steve Kerr who also won championships as a player.
Right.
So, I mean, he's kind of got like a multifaceted things. I mean, he was a very good player, and lots of times they say that players that were as good as Jason Kidd usually don't make good coaches. I mean, he's trying to really change and break the mold on that whole scenario. For him, the pressure is his legacy as a coach. If he is able to get this team into the finals, he elevates himself into the upper echelon of good NBA coaches. He is is pretty much on the same level as that. This would make it definitely would elevate him over a Steve Nash. I mean, Nash is out there with these killers in Brooklyn and couldn't get him out of the first round.
Dookie down to the leg.
He was not qualified to get a position like that. You get a guy like Jason Kidd, he walks in, he had a better career than Steve Nash, but he did not get a team handed to him that is as good as what Nash got handed, and he's taken them farther than Nash could get them.
And Kidd's a rookie coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. I was pretty confident it was his first season. I just wanted to make sure if I said what I said.
But I see Golden State is handling Dallas as we speak, though.
They are. And I've got Golden State winning tonight's game. If it was a blowout, I don't think it would shock anybody. I just really want the Warriors to play with conviction and be solid in this series. I'm going to say pressure on Jason Kidd as well, really for all the same reasons that Fee said, but the fact that, you were a former player, I mean, really exactly what Fee said. You were a former player. You've won a title with this team before. You have been handed a Luka Doncic. Of course, you haven't been handed a fantastic team, but, some people are going to wonder, okay, if you can at least get us this far. And it's not going to be major pressure for Jason Kidd. But again, if you can always get to the step below, people always expect you to get to the next step after. So, maybe slight pressure here. Now, let's go over to the other side with the Warriors. Steph Curry, pressure or not at this point where they're at in the playoffs against these Mavericks?
Steph Curry has media pressure. Everyone is expecting him to be like, oh, well, you haven't won a finals MVP. You haven't had that one defining moment. As far as Steph Curry is concerned, no, he doesn't have any pressure. Steph Curry doesn't care. Steph Curry has fun playing basketball. He's out there running and skipping and shooting the ball from half court. That dude is not worried about what anyone has to say about what he should or should not be doing or what he has or has not accomplished. He's got 2 MVPs. He's got 3 championships. He's been there 5 times. He is not under pressure because he will not allow you to pressure him. He doesn't care. Not to say that he doesn't care about the game, but he doesn't care about any outside inflicted pressure. He's not concerned with it.
Highly agree with you, Fees. No pressure on Steph Curry at all. Accolades, play style, what he's done in the last, half decade, essentially. I don't think it needs much explanation. Let's go over to his counterpart, though. Klay Thompson, Pressure or nah?
Klay Thompson, yes, he's under pressure, and it's not pressure for Golden State to win per se. It's for him to prove that he actually has recovered from both an ACL and an Achilles injury.
Yep.
He clearly is not the defensive player that he used to be, and the shooting has been streaky on and off. We've seen a couple of glimpses of what he used to be as far as the jump shot, but he's under pressure just to get back to Klay on offense. If he can give them the same offensive Klay that he used to be, then no one can beat the Warriors. I mean, it's as simple as that. When they're shooting like that, there's no team that can score with them.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to say pressure as well. Obviously, year before last, Warriors were the worst team in the NBA. Year before last, Warriors were the worst team in the NBA, literally record, play style, everything. Last year, Steph Curry obviously comes around. You know, I thought he had my MVP vote there, but the voters said otherwise. And people know that Klay Thompson played a major part in the success of that team. He's the glue. Yes, he's proven it with the 3 finals rings. Yes, he's proven it with the most points in a quarter ever. And yes, he's proven it with maybe being the hottest, not best, but the hottest three-point shooter of all time. We've said it, his heater can get hotter than Steph's for sure. Yeah. But I do think he is under pressure to, show people that, again, he has recovered from that injury, but to still show people that he's got what it takes in the tank against a tough Mavericks team who, oddly enough, this could go 6 games, within this entire series just because of the grit of the Mavericks and how Luka's really going to get whatever he wants. They really got to shut down the role players there. But I would say Klay Thompson is under some pressure here because you can't expect Steph to do it all. You can't, with the streaky play of Klay, expect him. Well, not expect him. You can't, with the streaky play of Klay, think that that's going to take you far more than anything. So I do have to say pressure here on Klay Thompson. Now, the star who has jumped onto the scene for the Golden State Warriors, Jordan Poole. Pressure or not?
No, Jordan Poole is not under pressure. He's the third scorer. He's like he's an outside piece.
Right.
When he comes and he gives you work, then they're impossible to beat because you have Steph and Klay out there at the same time, and a guy like Poole who's able to give you 30 in any given night. And he's been very consistent. He doesn't really seem to be playing with any worries in the world.
Right.
He's out there like, you can't double me because I'll just pass it to one of them, and that's an easy three-pointer. Yep. So now I get to go one-on-one, go to the rack. Draymond is excellent with setting the screens and knowing where to be. They make the game easy for Jordan Poole. It's like, it's Jordan Poole's world out there. If he decides he wants to take over and take the next 10 shots, then they'll let him do it because the team is just free like that. He's playing worry-free basketball. None of the blame will ever fall on Jordan Poole for not contributing to his role. It's all going to go back to Steph if they don't win. But Steph doesn't care. So there's just not pressure.
Right. Kind of unfazable guys on this team here. Yeah, Jordan Poole, I'm going to go no pressure as well, only because he did just pop off this year and really become that guy that could give you 25, 30 off the bench. Now, if they go to the NBA Finals and they've got a chance to take it all in the first year that he's been really, really big and a major contributor, sometimes better than Steph and Klay, sometimes, not all the time. I think they will look for him to take that step in the first year because not only will that give Golden State the confidence to know that, damn, I really just scored a third splash brother in a way, that can really just create his own shot and kind of galvanize his team in a way, but they'll be able to know that they also have that for years to come. They've got someone after Steph. They've got someone after Klay. Obviously not a Draymond or some of the bigs out there, but no, I don't think Jordan Poole is under pressure either. All right, man, over into the East now.
We got a correction, though. Jason Kidd did coach the Nets for a hot second. 6 seasons? Jesus, I didn't realize he was there that long.
As you said,
the Nets.
Nets?
When they were still Jersey.
Heard. Why do I feel like I remember that? Like ever so slightly, just that ugly New Jersey Nets logo, colors, all that. Yeah. Oh, well, whatever. Hell yeah. Definitely pressure on Jason Kidd now. Come on. Anyways, though, so swinging over into the East, like we mentioned, we'll got the Boston Celtics here, best team in the NBA. Jason Tatum, pressure or nah?
That's best team in the NBA, says you.
But we know.
Yes, Jason Tatum is under pressure to continue the scoring because Boston comes and goes with him.
Yep.
He can't have an off night.
Nope.
If they play great defense and they play good offense and he's not scoring, then they still don't win. They don't have the luxury of a Golden State to have 3 to 4 guys who can all get you at least a good 20 at the same time.
Right.
They need Jason Tatum to show up. So he has all the pressure in the world on him to make sure that he shows up in each of these games and continues to keep the pressure on Miami, which he couldn't do it in the third quarter, and that could be seen as the difference in the game.
Yep. I really should have put for the last team that we had, I should have done Andrew Wiggins, Clay, and Poole. But, got to throw the guys in there. Jason Tatum, definitely under pressure here. 21 points in the first half of game one, 8 points in the second half. Absolutely doo-dooed the bed. 6 turnovers in the third quarter. That's the most that he's ever had in his career in a quarter. And much like Fee said, they do live and die by Jason Tatum. He is one of the best jump shooters in the league, one of the best three-point shooters, and really just creates his own offense and shot at any given moment there. And we saw the major game where Giannis put up 44 and 20, and, Jason was like, I'll do you one better. I'll come out there and drop 45, 46, whatever you need from me. I'll give you 9 rebounds, whatever you need. I've got it. So I got to say pressure for Jason Tatum. He was obviously bought in on. That's the beautiful thing is a lot of Boston was bought in on early, drafted, and developed. That's what they do. So I want to see Jason Tatum take that next step. Jaylen Brown, pressure or not?
Jaylen Brown definitely is also under pressure as the second scorer. He's not under as much pressure as Jason Tatum,
right?
But he is expected to get his every night as well. I mean, they need all of their guys to show up for whatever their roles are. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're expected to do the scoring. The other guys play great defense, keep the energy. They will get buckets, but these two are expected to put it down. I mean, they need 30-plus points out of Tatum, and they need a good 22 to 25 out of Jaylen Brown, if not more, because he may be expected to pick up the scoring, especially in a situation like no Marcus Smart and no Al Horford. They need even more scoring from both Tatum and Brown. So, I mean, they're under immense pressure, especially with the injuries, via injury for Smart and Horford being out with COVID.
Jaylen Brown, definitely pressure here as well, much like Fee said, second scorer on the team, number 2 player here on the team, and for a lot of the same reasons as Jason Tatum. Drafted young, developed, bought in on, really trusted the process and kind of the rough moments that we saw throughout a Tatum, throughout a Brown, throughout a Marcus Smart, who will be the next player, of course, here on the list. But, it's pretty similar situations with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You've seen them get this far, you've bought in on them, and Look, Tatum and Brown are averaging 51 points a night in this series, in the postseason. So you definitely want them to be able to step up. You definitely want them to be able to provide that spark to a team, as the 2 best players, as the 2 best scorers on this team. So Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, both got pressure on you. Defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart, pressure or not?
I mean, he's under pressure to play.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that, bro.
Him and his injuries, he's really hurting this team by not being on the floor. They're not really even needing monster scoring performances out of him. They need his energy. They need his defense. They especially need his defense against Jimmy Butler. I mean, he has been able to greatly slow him down, but they need him on the floor. Whatever he has going on with his foot, he needs to get one of those shots. Whatever it is, you need to go to one of the NFL team doctors and go inside that blue tent and give whatever it is that they do in there and get back on the floor. I don't know what they have inside of there, but when you go inside the blue tent, they come out and they play.
That's facts. Hey, you pull it down, you come back up, you juiced, bro.
You're like, get this off the TV.
Yeah, don't let them watch me come out of there, bro. I can't let them know. Marcus Smart, pressure as well. Defensive player of the year. He's got to play. If Marcus Smart doesn't play, Boston, Boston, I don't think stands a chance in this series if Marcus Smart doesn't play. Like I said, 23% is what he held Jimmy Butler to in the bubble Eastern Conference Finals. Marcus Smart gave Jimmy Butler hell when he guarded him. Clearly the defensive player of the year, second guard ever to do that. And this team just obviously flows better with Marcus Smart. Again, major big 3 here in the NBA. Love how they were all drafted early. Again, all developed really the Celtic way. So I got to say the big 3, they've all got pressure on them, not only to play, of course, but to actually produce defensively and stifle the one and only Jimmy Butler. Not the only player, but the one and only Jimmy Butler for the Miami Heat. And speaking of that man, Jimmy Buckets, pressure or nah for Jimmy Butler?
Oh, Jimmy Butler definitely has pressure on him now because he's already showed us in multiple playoff series that he can come out and show up, drop 30 to 40 points like it's nothing, plays strong defense, keeps himself poised. I mean, he plays both sides of the basketball. He
as well
could
as anybody.
easily be a premier superstar in the league if he consistently did this.
Yep.
But he only does it in the postseason.
Right.
And he at times just seems to disappear and tries to spread the ball around too much. So, I mean, he's under pressure to take on the role as the leading guy for this team and give them what they need. Because at times he does seem to just rely on the rest of the team too much. When they're not doing it, he's got to take over. Because clearly he has the skill set to do it, but he doesn't always have that killer in him to be like, all right, it's go time. He's under pressure to show that he can be the guy that he looks like he is.
Absolutely. Mama Theg definitely says that all the pressure is on Jaylen Brown coming into the series. And, hey, I feel you there. Someone's got to step up outside of Jason. And not that they won't, but totally agree with you there. Jimmy Butler, yeah, definitely pressure. Dropped 40 points last night. And Jimmy Butler hasn't had any 40-point games in the regular season in quite some time, but he has had 5+ in his postseason career, playing just majorly with the Miami Heat. And for anybody that's watching right now, I 100% did say that Jimmy Butler, I thought, was not a championship caliber player. I totally rescind that statement. I see the numbers. I see what he did last night. Even with Marcus Smart on the floor, I think he still would have had a phenomenal game. I don't think he's dropping a 40-plus burger on the Celtics. I just don't see it on the best defensive player, in the league. But I do have pressure on Jimmy Butler. He's a lot, I wouldn't say a lot like Kawhi, but he's got a similar play style, get a bucket, get a stop, both ends of the floor. I mean, back-to-back steals in that third quarter. Jimmy Butler is truly a Swiss Army knife, and, I'm happy for his journey from the Bulls, now over to the T-Wolves, the Sixers, and he's found his home in Miami. Looking for 2 finals in 3 years. Definitely pressure on Jimmy Buckets. Bam Adebayo, pressure or nah?
No, I think Bam, and since we're crunched for time, I'm going to give you the same answer for Bam and Tyler Hero. Neither one of them had pressure on them. All the pressure for the Heat is on Jimmy Butler. These guys are both role players playing alongside of him. They do need big performances out of them, but they will not be blamed if this team loses. It's gonna come and go with Jimmy.
Yeah.
This will either be the coming out party for the Jimmy Buckets, the superstar, or it'll be like, Jimmy was almost that good.
Yeah. Yeah. For time's sake as well, Bam, no. Tyler Hero, a little bit. He is starting to turn into that maybe 15 to 18 point a night guy, that Miami would definitely like to look for, put alongside of Jimmy Butler. And we saw what Tyler Hero came out to be. Obviously in the NBA bubble. Wasn't anything intense, but I think when you're talking about another solid number 2 player, maybe for Jimmy Butler, because he can't do it all. I think Cher just said it in one of the comments earlier. You can't do it all. She was talking about Luka. You can't do it all with just one player in the NBA. I know we've seen the Kobes of the world and the LeBrons of the world and the AIs of the world, but at certain points, they didn't get it done by themselves. So, Bam, no. Tyler Hero, yes, a little bit. I should have put Eric Spoelstra on there as well, but no worries. We are out of time here on Petty Sports. Episode 59 is concluded, ladies and gentlemen. Loaded show. Thanks for everybody tuning in. All 49,000 of you strong on Facebook, all of you on YouTube. Scan that code. Find us everywhere. Fee, say goodnight to the folks, brother.
Hey, as always, appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's Petty Sports one more time. You see the best team in the NBA right now, cooking the Dallas Mavericks. It's the Golden State Warriors. Make sure y'all tune in every Wednesday. Another episode of Petty Sports Black coming to you real soon. We had a very special guest on, so make sure you check that out. As always, make sure you keep it petty. And we out.
Deuces.